Welcome to Joa Fitness Health Wellness Video Podcast, a space to ignite your day through positive conversations. We bring people that have created excellence in their life, sharing high vibration in their reawakening path.
Hello, my friends. Hello, you that perhaps are sitting in the car driving, or perhaps you are in the kitchen cooking. Well, this is your podcast if you are experiencing pain and is called Back into Alignment. This podcast was actually designed 4 years ago, and I am the host. My name is Joa Rivas, and I'm so excited to invite you every Friday for talks that I am bringing curiosity out of my own pain and also from my clients. I'm actually a yoga and Pilates teacher and a wellness coach for the last 12 years. I've been hosting this podcast as a way for me to bring proper guidance for those people that are experiencing inflammation in the body that could be manifested in so many ways. And today I am super excited to bring back our guest of this month, who is Vanessa Ocampo. She's actually Colombian and I'm Venezuelan, so we're actually sisters from the roots. And excited to bring Vanessa as a rheumatologist and an expert in inflammation in the joints, especially we're talking about osteoarthritis. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, we welcome you to come back to the last episode, which we actually dive deep into this particular health condition. Today, we are welcoming Vanessa. Vanessa Ocampo is a specialist in internal medicine from the McMaster University, a rheumatologist with a fellowship in psoriatic arthritis, which is one of the types. There are over 100 types of arthritis. And she definitely is very engaged into learning more about psoriatic arthritis, which is something perhaps is affecting you, from the University of Toronto. Currently, she is finishing a master in epidemiology at the University of Toronto. She has interest in inflammatory disease, which is why we're actually chatting, related to the eye and the conditions related to this, and how wellness can actually help us to decrease and minimize the effects of these inflammations in our body. So thank you so much, Dr. Vanessa. One more time, you are here today with an extra support. We have Bruno, who is your beautiful Yorkshire, that is today hugging you there. So how are you, Vanessa? How are you today? This is a new week.
Yeah, hello, Joa. Thank you for the invitation, having me again. I'm good. And thank you for that kind introduction. I'm very happy to be here with you and all the people that follow you and listens to you. Well, yeah, I'm very excited to talk about osteoarthritis, which is the most common form of arthritis that we all know. So yeah, let's talk about it.
Yes, for me, it's very close to actually my personal experience. I am 37, and I am very honest about my journey. I actually started becoming a wellness coach and so into health because my own scoliosis, my own spine bifida, that has been affecting me for my whole life since I was 15. And I'm very honest why I shifted my education from being a teacher in a school, a traditional education, to actually move into health education, which for me was creating a bigger impact in my body, but also around my community. So now, 3 months ago, I started feeling pain again in my spine. I could not understand the cause or the root of this issue. And it happened that the testing after getting my X-ray detected that I have osteoarthritis in my neck and lower back. Osteoarthritis is actually, like you say, is the number one type of arthritis that is affecting globally everyone. We're talking about 350 million of people. So again, 350 million of people have arthritis globally. This is the latest report from 2021. Only in the United States, 1 in 4 adults has arthritis. And the estimation is that for 2040, there are going to be 78 million of Americans that suffer of arthritis. This is the report from 2016. So maybe these numbers increase, right? And
Yeah.
now we're talking about Canada. In Canada, we have 1 in 5 Canadians live with impacts of arthritis. And this can be actually affecting 6 million of Canadians right now. And the projection for 2040 in Canada, remember, it's a smaller population, is 9 million. But again, numbers like we just said, 350 million of people in the entire planet are actually experiencing arthritis, including me, including my mom, and many other people in my family and friends, actually. So please, from your experience being a rheumatologist, also, you told us your story about why you start becoming so aware about this, because your mom had actually fibromyalgia. So you actually are very close to this type of health conditions. So I wanted to bring you here as a very important key of education for the community to explain about what is osteoarthritis, especially today. Let's just dive into what is osteoarthritis.
So osteoarthritis, as you said, is the most common form of arthritis. So a lot of people relate osteoarthritis with rheumatoid arthritis, which are two different things. So osteoarthritis, it's a degenerative joint disease, meaning there's wear and tear of your joints, and it more frequently affects the hands, the hips, and the knees. What happens is the cartilage between the joint, it kind of starts breaking down under the bone. So under the bone, there starts a change because of that breakdown. And it's something that happens over time. It's a slowly process. It's not like rheumatoid arthritis that people all of a sudden develop swelling, pain, stiffness. No, like osteoarthritis takes years to happen. And it causes pain, it causes stiffness, it could cause swelling as well. But the clinical presentation, it's different from the rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, an autoinflammatory disease. Very different from rheumatoid arthritis. So for people to develop osteoarthritis, there are certain risk factors that we need to have into account. One of those risk factors, unfortunately, is the age, which is one of the most important risk factors as per the American College of Rheumatology. Women over the age of 50 or 45, some textbook would say, as well as men. Gender, again, being a woman is not a good thing for the joints. So it's much more common in women, especially after the age of 50. Obesity, it's a big risk factor. Why? Because two things. Extra weight will put more stress on your joints, especially in the weight-bearing joints, like your hips, your knees. So that will increase the stress and the risk of osteoarthritis. But it's been also demonstrated that obesity can also affect osteoarthritis in the hands. How so? Well, as we spoke before, the fat cells, they have some special substances that are released and they promote changes in your joints and inflammation. So being obese, it's not a good thing for your joints. There's some genetics involved with it. So there are people who have family members with osteoarthritis, and those people are more likely to develop osteoarthritis. And there has been some research on specific genes. So there's some genetic part. And some Asian populations have lower risk of osteoarthritis compared to other populations. Important thing, the type of job people do. Repetitive things, people that drill, people that have repetitive movement of the hands, people that do overhead things, because osteoarthritis of the shoulders is not that common, but when people do continuous overhead use, that also could affect the osteoarthritis of the shoulders.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so interesting that we actually see this, like you said, after 40, but in my case, I'm only 37, so I already have it. My mom was also diagnosed when she was 39. So this one affects mostly women, but there are also men. Actually, I posted in my Instagram just as a survey to see from my 10,000 followers who are actually experiencing arthritis and what type of arthritis. So definitely osteoarthritis was number one. And I got some men actually from my group. Some men also said they do have osteoarthritis. So this talk is for everybody. As you were saying, there is actually a prevalence of this health condition with you when people are experiencing BMI that is off. So they are obese. They actually will increase the potential to have it. Now, can you please tell us how, if somebody's just feeling pain in the joints and perhaps they think it's because they're aging or because they have an injury, how they can actually detect osteoarthritis in a proper way so they know and they can get the diagnosis on time?
Okay, so that's a great question. So things that well, the most relevant symptom is pain, because if you do x-rays of people over the age of 45, you're going to start seeing changes in their joints. But there's a lot of osteoarthritis that you can see in x-rays and people have no symptoms. So when people start having pain, it is important to know the type of pain. So usually, let's say, for example, the knee or the hands. So people have pain that is worse when they use the joint and is relieved by rest. So people will tell you, oh, I walk and then, oh, I have to stop because the pain is so bad. So that's a clue. As I said before, the pain, it's not like all of a sudden. It is kind of like in serious onset process through stages over years. So at the beginning, people will be like, the pain is very predictable. So people will say, oh, I walk let's say 3 blocks, and then the pain comes. And then I rest and the pain is better. But then there's a point where the pain becomes more constant. And then there's a point where the pain wouldn't go away and then starts affecting activities of daily living. There's patients that won't be able to, climb stairs, for example, and they have to change houses. They can't walk around the house. Generally, the pain is worse at the end of the day because it's the day of the use, at the end of the use. People could have stiffness in the morning, but differently from rheumatoid arthritis, this type of stiffness lasts less than 30 minutes. When people are examining, so in the middle of the knee, we call it the joint line there. So there's pain around the joint line, and patients will tell you, oh, I walk and I hear a crackling in my knees. It's a crepitus. So when we examine the patient, we can also feel that crepitus in the knee. And something very, very common, for example, for the knees, people walk and people feel the buckling of the knee. So that's another indication that you could be having osteoarthritis. Swelling could happen, but it depends of the type of arthritis you have. So if we're talking about nodular arthritis, for example, the kind that I have, and if you can see, but I have some little nodules in my hands. So that nodular arthritis sometimes can get those nodules could get swollen and they're painful as well. So people could experience that. Some people who have swelling of the knees as well. Usually it tends to be worse in one knee than the other one. With the time, you could see changes in the shape of the knees, for example. So you see those patients with big knees, but the knee is not big because it's swollen. It's because there's a lot of new bone formed around it, because what your body's trying to do is just to repair that cartilage loss, and then there's just a lot of disarranged new bone around it. That's pretty much what
yes,
people should be
exactly.
looking for.
So, like you were commenting that this health condition can be manifested in many ways, and
Yeah.
especially for those people that are in activities that are repetitive, perhaps like I was thinking about hairdressers are constantly working with the wrists, with the shoulders, with the fingers. Chef, cooks, they are constantly moving the hands.
Yep.
So these
Yep.
people are definitely in that packet that it needs to prevent any type of arthritis in the future. Like I'm saying, perhaps before 40, they start getting some x-rays if you're actually experiencing these pains and aches, and it would be the best time to at least that itself, get your diagnosis and see if this is something that is affecting you. In my case, it was manifested with a very deep, sharp hip pain. And I actually thought that I tore my labrum or something related to my hip, it's like, and
Yeah.
then I actually was surprised when it was actually the lower back osteoarthritis, and I actually got the neck X-ray, which we also reflected osteoarthritis. So eventually my mom told me, Joa, don't freak out, because if you perhaps get your X-ray on your knees, you also have perhaps there, you may have also on your ankles. So she's like, the more X-rays you get, probably you will get detected in other areas. So don't freak out about that.
Yeah.
As another of the statistics before, I commented 350 million of arthritis in general, but about osteoarthritis, there is about 32.5 million of Americans suffering of osteoarthritis in the report on 2020. So 62% of the people were actually women in the Osteoarthritis Action Alliance from 2021, and 22% of adults around the world who are older than 40 have knee osteoarthritis specifically. We also were commenting in the conversation that an elevated BMI, which is the body mass index, is strongly associated with the increase of low back pain. And something that I wanted to touch base, because I know for you, one of the best approaches that you bring your patients is to bring a holistic approach, which is not only isolated with pharmacological approach, but you actually try to understand how they're moving during the day, are they aware the way of their move, and also nutrition and the mental health, because I know that you meditate every day, which that's something that I love that you do, is walking the talk. Basically, depression and osteoarthritis of the back are associated with the prevalence and severity frequent of lower back pain. So there is actually correlation between depression, osteoarthritis, and BMI and obesity. So this is all related together. We cannot disconnect one piece from another. So coming from this approach, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what is the effect on our mental health when we are actually experiencing osteoarthritis. If you have any type of support related to this, and how do you guide somebody that has osteoarthritis to have a little bit more of a mental balance?
Okay, that's a great question. So before we move into that, I just want to say something really quickly about the diagnosis of osteoarthritis. So people should know that they don't need to get x-rays to get diagnosed with osteoarthritis. That it can be a clinical diagnosis. We only use x-rays as a tool to help us confirm what we're thinking is happening clinically, and also to have differential, have other differential diagnoses rule out. But people can be diagnosed with osteoarthritis, by the clinician, by the physical examination and the history. Okay, so now for the impact of depression, wellness, mental health in osteoarthritis. So it's pretty well known in any type of arthritis that because it impacts the activity of daily living in patients, meaning being able to brush their teeth, walk around, wash their hair, even shower by themselves, or it could also impact your job. So it's been demonstrated that there's a big percentage of patients who suffer from depression. I do believe, as you said, we should have a more holistic approach to the management of osteoarthritis. And as I always said, we should have a non-pharmacologic approach and a pharmacologic approach. And I always tell my patients it is very important to have to start with a non-pharmacologic approach always, because unfortunately, for this type of medical condition, there is not a single pill that I would say, "Oh, Joe, I take this. Goodbye. You're gonna be fine tomorrow," because it unfortunately doesn't work like that. So I wish it would, but it doesn't. It just simply doesn't. So so what do I say? So for okay, there I am. So for non-pharmacologic approach, so what things I recommend patients? Number one, weight loss. It's so important, the weight loss, even if you have osteoarthritis in your hands because of the reasons we already mentioned. So statistically, it's been demonstrated that if you lose at least 10% of your body weight, it is associated with a decrease in 50% in pain scores in patients who are overweight experiencing osteoarthritis of the knees. So that's a good thing to think about weight loss. Exercise, crucial in this. Important to have someone like you guiding the exercises so people know what they're doing. Why? Because you can injure your joints and then instead of making good, then you're doing bad. So always have guided exercise, minimal impact type of exercise. Swimming is a very good exercise. And walking, strengthening of your muscles, it's very crucial for that. But remember, supervise for someone who knows. Tai Chi actually, it's actually recommended, and it has a strong recommendation by the American College of Rheumatology as part of the therapy for knee and hip osteoarthritis. So people who are into that, go for it. Unfortunately, yoga, it has a conditional recommendation. Why? Because one, it is not feasible for everybody to do the yoga movements, and two, it needs to be supervised. And unfortunately, some people just go online and do YouTube videos without proper supervision, and then they harm themselves. And three, there is not enough clinical data like we have in Tai Chi said. There was a good cutoff of people that actually had benefits from the yoga related to knee and hip osteoarthritis. But it doesn't mean you cannot do it. I think it's a very patient to patient journey that people need to live. Depending on the journey of the patient, patient might or not find that could help or not with that. Other things that people could do for osteoarthritis, as I said, eating habits. So, in everything in medicine, eating healthy is a good thing for everything, not only for your joints, like for everything. And that at the end, will lead to some weight loss, which is also good. People could also, I always tell my patients, use the community tools that we have. The Arthritis Society of Canada is not only for patients with rheumatoid arthritis. Like, they're great for any type of arthritis. People only think Arthritis Society rheumatoid arthritis. No, like, they help you with everything. They teach you how to walk, how to stand. If you need cane, what type of cane do you need? They will teach you how to use a cane, because it's not just simply buying a cane. So Arthritis Society of Canada is a really good tool. You can refer yourself. You don't need your doctor to do it for you. And I think that's also a really good tool that people just misuse because they don't know about it. And then we have the pharmacologic approach. As I mentioned, it's good. And it should be targeted depending on what people need. People could just need only topicals that work pretty well for the hands and also for the knees. People could use plain Tylenol. And some patients find that Tylenol arthritis is just enough at the beginning of the disease. There's people that need stronger medications, such as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications. And those are things that you need to talk about with your rheumatologist or your family doctor because of other cardiovascular risks related to that. We use Tylenol with codeine, but over that, other type of opioids, we don't like to use those, and those actually are not recommended by the American College of Rheumatology to be used. Like all those Percocets and things like that. Those are like a no-no for that. Why? Because it actually has not demonstrated to do any good, but it does more harm to the patients. We could use intratracheal injections of steroids. There's some viscous, it's like a substance that simulates what we have inside the joint. Some patients find that helps them with the pain. Unfortunately, there is not good enough data in research to say, oh, do it, it's gonna help you. It's very patient dependent. It is approved by the FDA to be used in the knees, and some patients really find good response to it. One vial is around $500 to $1,000 for each knee, because you need one vial for each knee. And I always said, like it's kind of like the last resource before we said, okay, you lost weight, you strengthen your muscles, you're doing your physiotherapy, you're doing your activities, you're eating better, you're exercising, you're taking your medication, and you're still in pain, you can't walk. Then you start thinking, okay, is it time to, go the next step? Should we have surgery? And that's something that is, again, very person dependent. And, you're not only one joint, you're like a whole person, so your mind, your body, your soul. So before jumping into that, then I always sit down and talk to the patient and say, okay, so what are your expectations with this pain? What do you think you could achieve in the next 6 months? Can we change these things? If we cannot, after doing all of this, should we consider surgery or not? That's kind of like, what do I do for the approach for the management?
Yeah, exactly. Because you approach your patients in a holistic level. You see the patient as a unit, and that's very important to always come with that approach. Because no matter what, as I was researching, and I've been bringing a lot of doctors related to this specific health condition, because I do have it, and you never know until you have it, and that's when you become so curious about it. And that's why I decided to bring this topic out, to spread the voice and bring awareness to people, not to ignore it or to treat it in a way that it may be, the holistic way. So definitely there is about $2,000 of cost for this. Did you know? About a monthly cost could be about $2,000. So it could be very costly, but at the end, if we actually incorporate these lifestyle changes that you are commenting, from maintaining our proper body weight, exercising our joints and muscles to prevent sarcopenia, which is the muscle loss, and to preserve our bone density, and also for a mental health. Like you're saying, Tai Chi is being proved that it supports not only the body, but the mind. I teach Tai Chi, and I love Tai Chi. Actually, I have over 7,000 views in my Tai Chi videos. So I think it's growing big, because people are becoming more aware about these type of disciplines, that they don't require anything but your willingness to practice. So definitely love Tai Chi. It's a very slow Kung Fu discipline. It's super slow, and it actually slow down your daily go turbo mode that we're living in a normal days. So it's actually very good to just come back into our breath and become aware of our body. So exciting to have somebody like you bringing this awareness about lifestyle. So remember that everything starts in the way how you feel. So we start our day meditating. We are big believers that meditation is the way as we become aware of our emotions, and we can actually harness emotional freedom, which is very important. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Exciting to continue with this conversation. We are going to be talking about arthritis in kids. Actually, kids can actually have arthritis, and if your kid has arthritis, it's the talk for you. We also will be talking about fibromyalgia and a little more. So if you have any kind of topics that you want to bring, or actually if you want us to dive deep, please send us those comments. Vanessa Ocampo has Instagram that I'm gonna add on the chat box. So if you wanna reach to her, perhaps you can send her some messages on her Instagram and book a consultation with her in the future. Vanessa, do you have anything else that you wanted to share for today about osteoarthritis?
Well, Joe, I think as you said, the most important thing is to have a holistic approach to osteoarthritis. And I really wish I could say there's one single thing I could do to make patients' pain go away and better, but unfortunately there is not. We are a whole component of not only the body but the mind and the spirit. So I think we as doctors and as patients as well, we should be open to have a non-pharmacologic approach and a pharmacologic approach and actually follow through it, because people could live a better life with this type of conditions if we follow through the things that we're supposed to do.
Great. Yes, exactly. So remember that we are a holistic unit. And also remember that you count with community support like the Arthritis Society that we have here in Toronto, in Canada. I'm sure in your local community, you also have support that is giving you the steps to actually live with this health condition that is treatable, but not really curable. So we just continue treating it with proper lifestyle and promoting wellness. So thank you so much, Vanessa. I'm looking forward for our next talk. Have a beautiful weekend, my friends. Remember that together we are stronger.
We invite you to subscribe to this channel and share with your community. Please leave comments below, and if you like the episode, click the like button. Have a beautiful day.